Hello everyone, Anthony here. Hope you're doing well. My face looks insanely white in here, and I'm sorry if it's echoey and all that stuff. So first I wanted to say, so this isn't a hit piece against Ethereum. I'm heavily invested in Ethereum, and this issue applies to all blockchains that I'm aware of. It's not just an Ethereum thing. The only reason I point out Ethereum in this video is because that's the cryptocurrency that I've been involved with since 2015 and am the most knowledgeable about. And there's a lot of talk of Ethereum transaction fees and everything, and articles written about it and all that stuff, which is what got me thinking about it. There's just a lot of articles and talk about it in Ethereum space right now. And again, it's not a problem with Ethereum. I'm sure all these other blockchains would have high transaction fee articles written about them too if their networks were as popular and had as much demand as Ethereum does. Ethereum's just like the most stressed out system right now. It's like the most popular one and all that. So I'm just gonna get right into this. Ethereum uses gas to interact with its blockchain to make like transactions and all that stuff. Which is paid for with Ether. I made a video a number of years ago explaining how gas works in detail. I'll link it somewhere, whatever, if you guys want to watch it. But the issue, I believe, is that there's only one form of currency, Ether, which can be used to pay for transactions on the Ethereum blockchain. And when you couple this with dApps, which are dApps are pretty much multiple uses for a blockchain. It drives up fees for everyone. So think of it like this. Right now, we have three main forms of energy for transportation, gas, diesel, and electric. I guess we also have like jet fuel for planes and E85, which I think most cars these days don't use flex fuel and E85 anymore. It's big in like race cars and everything, because it makes more power for turbocharged cars, but we're not going to get into that. But having multiple forms of energy to power cars, we can distribute the demand better. And when demand is lower, then prices are lower. So for example, say that if all the tractor trailers and ships ran on gasoline instead of diesel to drive across the oceans and across the country to transport goods, well, then there's going to be more demand on gas because now there's more vehicles using it. There's another use case. It's not just transporting people to and from work and to get groceries like cars do. Now there's a demand on gas to transport cargo across the oceans and across the country. And then you can think too, if planes started using gas instead of jet fuel, well, then that's additional strain, additional demand on the gasoline infrastructure, because now gas is being used to fly people across the world. So this isn't an issue for Bitcoin because Bitcoin only has one use, at least for now. I don't know if it's going to be using smart contracts in the future or whatever, but Bitcoin only has one use, and that's transferring Bitcoin from one address to another. So on the Bitcoin network, transactions can be paid for in Bitcoin because there's only one use for Bitcoin. And that's the only demand that can ever be possible. But when you turn a blockchain into a computer and use its currency to pay for computations, well, now you have the infinite possibility of demand. Demand is infinite now. If one and this is the big problem that I see is if one application becomes popular, Uniswap, for example, well, it drives up the price to interact with all other applications on the network since they all use gas. So think of it, they all use Ether to pay for gas. Think of it like this. Well, like I said, with the vehicles, if all the tractor trailers and planes started using gas and ships, well, then that'll drive up the price of gas for commuting people that go to and from work and get groceries with their car. You can even think about different forms of heating your house, heat pumps and furnaces and all that, gas heat, electric heat, and all that. Well, if everyone in the country uses just one form of energy, well, it drives up the price of that form of energy. Uh, I'm not going to get into this. One reason why I don't like the gigantic push for all vehicles to be electric and all that too, because that's going to just drive up the price of lithium and cobalt and electricity, you know. So where did I leave off? So this can actually hinder the growth and popularity of some great applications getting started on Ethereum, because a lot of popular applications are driving up the transaction costs, transaction fees too much for people to want to use and experiment with these new dApps. So say that like I make a dApp that's like a really good dApp, and it has a very good use case, but it's not as popular as Uniswap. Well, no one's going to want to interact with it because the fees are too large to interact with my smaller dApp. So the way Ethereum aims to solve this, to solve the high transaction costs, to interact with the network, is with sharding and rollups, both which address demand issues. Rollups, if I recall correctly, are a way of like compiling transactions or rolling them up and executing them all at once. So instead of every single transaction getting validated one at a time, with rollups, all the transactions would be rolled up into like a package, all executed at once, and then validated all at once after the execution takes place. So instead of them being executed and validated all individually, it would be a batch of them being executed and then only one validation happening for that batch. And sharding essentially turns the Ethereum computer from a single-threaded CPU into a multi-threaded one, splitting the network apart into many shards so that multiple transactions can occur at the same time, which at the time of this video, and I definitely can do more research into Ethereum and blockchains and cryptocurrency. I can always do more research into these things, but I'm not really sure how this works. Not to say that it's impossible and it can't work. I know sometimes people say, oh, I don't know how that can work, as some like rebuttal or argument. But I'm just saying I don't know how it can work, because it seems like it would open up the possibility for double spending to me. Unless, I guess, if the shards don't do any of the execution at all. But I'm sure the devs have like all of this issue figured out, and I just need to research more. I have to sneeze. But like sharding only splits the network into 64, and since Ethereum computer is a Turing complete computer and is capable of infinite demand, pretty much infinite computations, what happens if all those shards can't handle their capacity in the future? Do we just add more shards? Is that possible, and is that preferable? And how are those executing those rollups paid? I suppose that they just be paid though. So with rollups, like I was saying, rollups would be executing transactions but not validating them. Well, I guess they would be paid in Ether as well. But that's and them being paid to do things in batches would lower the cost, because they'd be able to do it more efficiently instead of executing all transactions one by one. Doing them in batches would make it more efficient. But yeah, that's not how rollups get paid and all that. And I was also thinking about if rollups have to operate separately than validators, like be their own node, if there's going to be an execution rollup node in the future or something like that. That's not the scope of the video. It's just like my mind wandering. The point is that it's still a finite thing. Rollups are still a limitation on the network that can eventually cause issues, because Ethereum is it can consume endless resources. Therefore, I think the Ethereum network is fundamentally flawed and broken in the way that transactions are paid for, unless it can somehow use other tokens to pay for transactions. Like I said, how with different forms of energy for vehicles lowers the cost of all energy, because now we have a choice on what we can use. If gas is too expensive, we can just buy an electric car, and everyone who buys electric cars lowers the cost of gas for people who want gas cars, and everyone who wants gas cars lowers the cost of electricity for those that want to use electricity or have things that just use electricity. I'm not really sure how it would work to have multiple tokens paid for different things. Like if maybe you can do like, oh, one shard uses this token, but then the other shard uses this other token. Or if it's like a different token per use. If maybe it's like one token being used to pay for validators who validate transactions, and then another token can be used to pay for execution, like rollups or whatever. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Like I said, I can always do more research in this. I'm not aware of any blockchain that is currently experimenting or any research or development being done on using multiple tokens to pay for different parts of the network or whatever. So let me know of any research of that is being done, or if it's being done on a blockchain or anything, because that would definitely, distributing the load, distributing the unit that is used to pay for transactions or part of transactions would definitely decrease the cost of transactions. All right, take care, guys. Like I said, that's just my 2 cents, and let me know what you think. Take care, thank you, and goodbye.